In a time before recorded time, shrouded in the dark mists of ages past, rest tales of noble gods and wanton evils, fables of empires rising, now crumbled to dust, legends of titans and the clashing of divine powers, mythologies of creation and destruction, fables, legends, and mythologies. Incomplete as they may be, these fantastical accounts are deeply woven into the cosmic fabric of these worlds, these forgotten realms. They are the genesis of the universe as we know it, and most importantly, they are the very thread by which we exist, our creation. From the humblest merchant and the bravest hero, to the mightiest king or the darkest lord, the story of how mortal life sparked and yet almost flickered into cold nothingness on the world of Toril is the greatest story never told. Our definitive exploration, a grand history of the Forgotten Realms, starts right now on Riches and Liches. Let us start our journey of discoveries by acknowledging that many alternative and exceptional worlds exist within the Dungeons & Dragons cosmology that are not based in the Forgotten Realms. From the low-magic, high-steampunk world of Eberron or the dragon-rich world of Krynn, to the OG world of D&D's first setting Greyhawk, and one of my personal favorites that I have not been able to spend as much time in as I would have liked, the post-apocalyptic desolation that is the scorched world of Athos in the dark sun setting. And that's just a few examples. Indeed, Dungeons & Dragons likely has a setting to fit about any playstyle. But among these multitude of worlds, few can rival the richness and grandeur of the Forgotten Realms. Whether you roll dice, wield a controller, or use the theater of your mind with a good book, the world of Toril has held the attention of fantasy RPG fans for well over 3 decades, weaving tales of high adventure across many of its majestic lands. At its core, one of the most alluring facets of the Forgotten Realms setting lies in its expansive layers of history and lore that offer an unlimited canvas for both players and world builders. You could literally spend years running adventures and encounters in the Forgotten Realms and never see 75% of what the world has to offer. Yet despite this grand scale, every region, every city has a vibrant history, a rich lore, and a diverse culture that give the setting an unmatched realism that, in my experience, provides the ultimate form of replayability. Entire adventures, even campaigns beginning to end, can take place within the scope of but one of several historic cities along the Sword Coast. Or a group of brave adventurers may set out to traverse the inland sea of fallen stars, searching for a lost race of aquatic dwarves, before plunging into the mysteries and secrets found below Faerun's surface as they descend into the Underdark. But how did this world of magic and mystery come to be? In this series, sure to span many volumes, we will delve deep into the origin of the world of Toril. We will journey through the ages that define the definitive history of the Forgotten Realms, stopping to explore each era's most important events, cultures, conflicts, and beings, all that help shape the world as we know it today. And in time, we will also spotlight the amazing stories and maybe even create a few of our own. Our mortal beginnings start in that time before recorded time, known by scholars today as the Blue Age. To know this mythology of our creation, one must first know the 5 earliest gods that each had a part to play in this act of divinity. First and foremost, we have the incalculably ancient Lord Ao, the Overgod and the Hidden One. Ao is the supreme god of gods, a god of creation, but also a god of many unknowns and a deliberate indifference. While his role is certainly critical to our story, to our very existence, the depth of his portrayal is in fact disputed to this day. You should know that scholars who study such things are equally divided on the Overgod's role in the very cosmos and the world that we call home. However, even if attributed only the most of diminished roles, there is little doubt that it was Lord Ao's divine spark by which our world came to be. One account has Lord Ao's divine involvement beginning and ending with his creation of the crystal sphere, by which any future subordinate gods could be allowed to create worlds, to create life. On this single but critical act, one required for any chance of existence, that Lord Ao and Lord Ao alone could perform, there is little debate. Some scholars posit further, however, that Lord Eo also created the Sea of Night, that is, the worlds in the astral sea, all suspended within the crystal sphere, making up what is now called the realm space. Still others claim that the latter was the divine will of two gods formed from the very fabric of creation, the twin sisters Selune and Shar, beautiful goddesses of the moon and the night respectively. Regardless of your own belief, the subject of our discovery and discussion will focus on one of those heavenly bodies, a planet called Abir Torel, your future home if you reside anywhere in the Forgotten Realms. Created as a mere water world devoid of mortal life as we know it, but existing as a single, vast, planetary ocean of primordial essence, the protoplasmic raw materials, the building blocks of potential life. At this time in our story, our future world would be best described as a swirling and timeless void of cold darkness and chaos, a sphere of nothing more than dim, misty shadows of blues and grays, neither light nor dark, for such things had not yet been divined or even manifested. And it was from these misty shadows, the residue of Lord Eo's creative powers, from which arose the twin deities. All that moved within the darkened, watery depths of this cold, chaotic world were the horrifying creatures known as the Shadowvari, the 13 Lords of Shadow, whose origin here is mostly unknown, although many believe they manifested from the very shadow itself. We will take special note here for future expeditions that clues to the Shadowvari and other mysteries of the dark art of shadow magic may start with clues hidden within the ancient Talifarian text called the Book of Shadows. Regardless of their origin, however, deep within these primordial waters, the Shadowvari had a part to play in our story in due time. It is at this time, however, that the two sister goddesses, identical but diametrically opposed in every way, became important keys to Torel's creation. Selune, silver-haired and representing the light of the moon and stars, and her twin Shar, the raven-haired night singer of darkness and shadows, worked together to coalesce the dark waters of primordial essence. Once so close, they saw themselves as one deity, so much so that early sages and scholars often referred to them by a singular name, the two-faced goddess, or the sisters who were one. Together during this time before time, the sister goddesses complemented each other to coax order from chaos, manifesting into creation a new deity charged with the embodiment of all matter upon this world, the fourth divine being in our story, Shantia. This world, our world, now illuminated by the cool radiant light of Selune and darkened by the shadowy embrace of Shar, was, however, still devoid of fire, the warmth of heat by which to nurture life. And so the new goddess Shantia pleaded upon her creator, the two-faced goddess, for the warmth of a bright sun to bathe the world in light, that she might nurture life and living creatures upon her form. And it is here that our story of the twin sister goddesses diverge, as for the first time, Selune and Shar found themselves at odds, conflicting in their divine intents on whether life should even exist upon this world. Deeply divided over the creation of mortal life upon the new world of Abir Torel, this time marks the stark and forever divergence between the divine mandate of the sister deities. Born from this strife, the two sisters were forever changed, forever enemies. And it is from the residue of their mighty struggles that followed where we find the emergence and origins of the original eldest deities of magic, war, disease, murder, and death, among others. Selune reached beyond the Sea of Night and into the plane of fire, and though it burned her painfully, she brought forth a fragment of pure, ever-living flame. Using this shard of eternal fire, Selune ignited a heavenly body that we now call the sun in order to give warmth to Shantia and life to Abir Torel. With the first flickers of mortal life now created, this act greatly enraged the goddess of darkness and the night as Shar brought her powers to bear upon her already injured sister, seeking to smother the light and warmth in the universe along with the very radiance of Selune herself, gravely weakening her celestial form. Desperate to protect this spark of life, Selûne tore from herself a portion of her own divine essence, nearly killing her in the process, hurling it at her dark sister's form. The moon goddess's celestial energy tore through Shar with great effect, bonding with some of the night goddess's own dark innate being. It was this divine clash of immense celestial energy that combined, fused, and formed the fifth deity in our story, the goddess Mistral. Mistral, the original and eldest goddess of magic, who is today referred to as Mistra and best known as the greater deity from whom the weave was embodied, the source of all magic to this very day. Although Mistral was created and composed of both a divine essence of light and dark, the Lady of Mysteries chose to support life, and thus sided with Selûne, her first mother, giving the goddess of light the upper hand in this sibling conflict. Together, Selûne, Mistral, and Shantia, seeking to preserve life upon Abir Torel, exiled Shar into her own darkness, enabling light and warmth to bathe Abir Torel with life-giving energy. However, the battle left lasting scars, wounds that every mortal of the Forgotten Realms can witness each day. The moon goddess, now forever wounded, would thereafter see her powers wax and wane, visible in the sky each night. And it is here that the Shadowvari again enter into our discovery. Desiring the darkness provided by Shar over the blinding light that now bathed Abir Torel, the Shadowvari stalked the nascent world and realms beyond, seeking to meld dark and light into the shadowy chaos it had once been. While Selûne's power remained weakened, with the aid of the Shadowvari, Shar once again grew strong. Consumed with bitterness and loneliness, Shar vowed her revenge and lurks in the darkness of shadows and night, eternal, always waiting for her time to strike. This war between these deified sisters has raged for eons, with battles large and small, obvious and subtle, yet life struggled and flourished, ebbed and flowed on Abir Torel, guided, ever wary by the watchful eyes of the goddess Shantia. Lest you think this completes the story of our creation, far more trials and tribulations would litter the path ahead before our place in this universe would be firmly established. As the Blue Age progressed, life persisted in the vast worldwide ocean. New gods were created from the realm space, and powerful beings called primordials arose from the elemental chaos. Abir Torel now received the warmth of the sun as the depths of this ocean planet began teeming with life. However, there was also an epic conflict brewing. It was called the Dawn War, and Abir Torel, along with the surrounding astral sea, was one of its many battlefields. This Dawn War raged between the gods and the primordials of the elemental chaos, also called the Dawn Titans. It is here that we must proceed, being mindful that these are the mythologies from an era before any concept of time or even a written record from that antiquity existed. And as such, many accounts and beliefs that exist, each in conflict with one another, are the tales passed down over the countless generations that followed, or the ancient texts written long after those chaotic times. For example, there are present-day scholars who support the most banal of origins for the Dawn War, their belief that the genesis of such conflict being the same reason most wars have ever been fought, the baser instinct of greed for dominance and control over territory. This theory holds that the primordials simply coveted the newly created realm space and all the worlds within it. A second theory for the Dawn War origin, while generally discredited by mortal sages and scholars, is still worthy of discussion, if nothing more than being part of the historical record that our discovery demands, and it lies in the ancient Nerathian texts. Universally hand-waved as lies and propaganda, these Nerathian legends and inscriptions claim the primordials are the actual creator of these worlds, that their claim as legitimate owners of the realm space puts the gods in the role of interlopers, and that the Dawn War was the primordials' attempt to follow their cycle of creation and destruction as exists in the elemental chaos from which they manifested. But it is our third origin story that offers the most clues and evidence, if such a thing exists, to suggest that this tale might be the closest to the truth. Intriguing nonetheless, this tale was recounted by the demonologist Igwilv, also known as Tasha. According to the infamous witch's own account, ancient demonic entities called Oberiths, another subject worthy of its own volume, were once rulers of a dying universe. Knowing this fate, they created an artifact of immense power called the Shard of Pure Evil. As their own realm faded, they sought to inject the Shard's evil essence into a new realm, with the intent to corrupt powerful beings in order to reshape a new realm in their vile image, as a measure of their own selfish survival. Over eons, as the Oberiths continued to die off, their plan finally found traction when the deity known as Farizdan, a long-forgotten god, found this insidious artifact. Promising Farizdan ultimate power over the universe if he were to just do their bidding, the Shard corrupted the god, driving him mad. The Oberiths attempted to leverage Farizdan to plant the seed within the astral sea, filling his mind with these promises of ultimate power. However, Farizdan, ever corrupted and insane, still resisted the demonic demands and instead brought the seed into the elemental chaos. It was here that the seed's unholy powers birthed the abyss, exploding into the elemental chaos through a vortex of dark power, and thus creating the bottomless pit of endless evil and giving birth to a myriad of demon lords such as Baphomet, Demogorgon, and Orcus, just to name a few. This act also served to draw the remaining Oberiths into the abyss as their realm was destroyed. Now disguised as the Elder Elemental Eye, Farizdan formed the cult of elemental evil through which he manipulated primordials and elementals for his own ends. However, these actions finally drew the attention of the gods, who united against the threat of the abyss and eventually imprisoned Farizdan within a dead universe, effectively removing him from the game board for all eternity. Following Farizdan's imprisonment, earning his place in the history books as the Chained God forevermore, a Tanaree demon lord named Miska the Wolf Spider took over the cult, seeking to obtain the shard from deep within the abyss with the support of the Queen of Chaos and the aspiration of rising as the new Prince of Demons, another excellent piece of lore we may want to explore in future volumes. But it was this struggle for power that, at least according to Igwilv's account, sparked the Dawn War, the massive conflict initiated by a primordial attack on the astral sea. As the Dawn War raged on, fought to a constant stalemate with no end in sight, it would be another primordial, an elder evil known as Dindar the Night Serpent, who would play a pivotal role in ending what scholars today call the Blue Age. Dindar takes the form of a 300-foot-long serpent that feeds on the nightmares of mortals, and was said to have been created by the very first manifestation of a mortal dream. The legendary tales of her prophecies list her by many names. Some called her Nidhogg, others the Mother of the Night Parade. Regardless, as the mythology is told from ancient texts of the Saruk and Batrachi empires that will enter our story a bit later, each written thousands of years after the event, the colossal night serpent sought to plunge the world into darkness. Some say this was done of her own chaotic desires, yet others posit perhaps Shar was somehow involved. The actual truth, however, is likely lost to time, but it is this event, we are told, that brought about the age of darkness known as the Shadow Epoch, when Dindar devoured the very sun that gave life to this nascent world within the astral sea. This calamitous event resulted in Abir Torel falling into cold darkness, extinguishing most all life once again as the blue jewel turned from a life-springing water world to one of solid ice and death. Abir Torel lying as a cold celestial void of nothing. One might think that this act would itself stop the war, as the prize had now changed, but it was not to be. War still raged for millennia. The end of this stalemate only came when yet another elder evil, critical to our story, comes into focus. Growing weary of war and in opposition to Dindar's plans of eternal darkness, a primordial elder evil struck a bargain with the gods, betraying the primordial side of the conflict. In return for a dominion of land upon a reclaimed Abir Torel, the primordial Abteo now written into the history books as Abtaal the Deceiver, aided the gods, turning the tides of war, the results of which led to the death, imprisonment, or exile of the remaining primordials. Dendar is said to be imprisoned to this day under the Peaks of Flame, a series of 3 volcanoes that reside in the domain we today call Chult, the very land secured by this bargain of betrayal. With the Dawn War ending, the victorious gods created, once again, a new sun to warm the planet. This time, the receding ice and water revealed a vast new supercontinent of land called the Meroboros, as life once again was renewed. This new age brought about new life, including the creator races, the ancient ancestors of most mortal life that exists today, witnessed the rise and fall of vast empires, and survived even more calamitous events that would once again threaten the thriving life upon this world. The changes to Abir had just begun. These were the days of thunder. Our story for Volume 2. And that concludes Volume 1 of our epic profile on the Forgotten Realms. But we're just getting started, so please join me for Volume 2 as we enter the age known as the Days of Thunder. There we'll profile the creator races, the world-shaping event known as the Tearfall, the origin of dragon gods, and so much more as we continue to chronicle the timeline of the Forgotten Realms. I hope you were entertained and or learned something new today and had as much fun watching as I had sharing. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links below, and if you think I earned it, please like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, and until next time, always remember the only limitation at your table is your imagination.